Welcome to Tea Talks with Tawan. Woo, how you been? It's been a while. I skipped last week, you all. I know with so many of y'all so in love and y'all was celebrating Valentine's Day. So I kind of skipped last week, but we are back this week. We are back to Tea Talks with Tawan, where we are spilling the tea on all those personal development topics that helps you with becoming your best self and creating your best life. You know what we stand for. You know, we believe everybody needs a little TLC, that transformational lifestyle content that helps you with becoming your best self and creating your best life. So today, because we're still in the month of February, this is Heart Health Month. And this is when we talk about all things are heart healthy. So today we're going to have some real good conversation. I have a guest who will be joining me today. I will be bringing her to the stage soon or bringing her to the platform soon. We're going to be talking about heart health. That's a tongue twister for me today. Heart health. And we're going to talk about self-love as it relates to heart health. So today I have with me to help talk about this subject is Delana Watkins. I want to bring old Delana to look, drum roll. Boom, 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 boom. Welcome, Delana. Welcome, Delana.
Hello.
Delana is the
Yes.
wellness maven. Hear me what I'm saying? The wellness maven. She is a nurse by trade. So what she was going to be talking about and what we're going to be sharing about, she's talking about from experience, her livelihood, what she does. She knows what she's talking about. So I just want you to know that we're not just making up things to talk about heart health. She is the founder of the Women's Wellness Lounge. And if you are in this PG County, Calvert County, Baltimore area, you would be familiar with her. If you're not, you can always go follow her on Facebook. We'll put that information up later so you can know how to follow her.
Absolutely.
But today we're going to talk about health heart. So Delana, before we jump right into it,
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about you. I just gave a snippet and I want to say hello to Kim Johnson and somebody from Baltimore. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening, Tawan. Tea Talks with Tawan. Thank you so much, always, for allowing me to grace your platform. So, as she said, I'm Delana Watkins, the Wellness Maven, fondly known as, and I am the founder of the Women's Wellness Lounge. And basically, what we are is a multifaceted health enterprise where we provide women with health education, support services, products, programs, and our signature workshops to help them embrace and gain strategies about healthy living.
That's a lot, but we all need, especially as women,
It's a lot.
who we take on a lot, we do a
Mhm.
lot. So healthy living is important, and that what we're going to talk about today, heart health.
Yes.
That's definitely important to women because women have strokes, women have heart attacks, and women hold a lot of things in their heart. And
Yes.
because we hold so much in our heart, it impacts us physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Mhm.
So, Delaney, just talk a little bit about heart healthy. Just being
Absolutely.
heart healthy.
Yeah. Well, you said it, Tuan. Actually, as far as women, we are just nurturers by nature. I mean, one of the things I like to talk about is oftentimes we define ourselves based on the amount of assistance or love and care that we can devote or show to others. And it
Mhm.
makes us feel good to be able to do that. And oftentimes it's at the expense of our own health. And so I just want women to know that your superpower is found in loving and caring for you. That's number one. Once we can kind of embrace that and understand that our superpower is in showing ourselves self love, that's truly what it's all about. Because when we talk about heart health, the physical heart, it is the number one silent killer of women. We usually think that it's cancer or other ailments that generally breast cancer is when I ask people, what do you think is the number one thing that women suffer from, and they generally will say they think that it's breast cancer, but it really is not. It is heart disease, and heart disease encompasses stroke, as you said before, and that also afflicts women. And it's because we stay in this very stressed out state we stay in this overcommitted state. I call it the ozone. We stay in the
Mhm.
overcommitted, overscheduled, stating what we want to do for people. And so that leaves us open to disease. So that's why
Mhm.
I refer to it as the ozone. It really leaves us open to suffering from heart attacks.
And Chris Williams says, good to talk about healthy living. Your health is paramount. And she's absolutely
Yes,
correct. Our health
absolutely
is
correct.
important, and we do have to start doing some shifts as women, because women
Mhm.
are starting to do more. We're starting to take our rightful place in our communities, in the world, in the workplace, which is adding more stress onto our plates,
Absolutely.
because in your ozone, overextending ourselves, because
Yes.
we definitely overextend ourselves. So
Mhm.
as we are growing and doing more things, we need to pay more attention to us. And for
Absolutely.
me, I like when you talk about the physical piece, but I think the emotional piece
Mhm.
also plays a big part in it. And that's why I wanted this to be Heart Health, talking about self-love, because self-love, to me,
Uh-huh.
when you have a high amount of self-love for yourself, then you take care of
Yes.
yourself, which means you're going to be heart healthy. And being heart healthy to
Mhm.
me is taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, as
Exactly.
well as physically, because
Mhm.
we are created to be emotional beings, and being emotional beings mean that we hold on to feelings, we hold on to different things, and we
Absolutely.
hold that stuff in our heart,
Right.
which
Right.
I think
And
is a contributing factor to sometimes the heart attacks,
yep,
the
exactly.
strokes. And I mean, I think some of us have even heard people dying of a broken heart.
Absolutely. And
Um,
so when you talk about that whole emotional piece of the self-love, another important thing to point out to Warren is this. When we love ourselves, it is so much easier for us to not get into that ozone about overcommitting and overextending ourselves, because
mhm.
we'll love ourselves so much that we'll say no easier. We'll say no quicker. We won't commit as fast. And so when we understand the importance of self-love, it's so much easier for us to not feel guilty about saying no, because we realize that our health and our well-being, emotionally, physically, and mentally, is more important than us getting to the yes quicker.
Now that's very true.
Hmm.
Self-love will make you say no, but self-love also
Absolutely.
gives you boundaries.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? That
absolutely.
is because, and what I think is, and it's
Mhm.
interesting because we all know that we should love ourselves.
Right.
Gail said, yes, saying no is hard for a lot of us. It is, because
It
we're
is.
taught to say yes. We
Hmm.
are nurturers by nature. That's how we were created. That's how God created us. He created us to be helpmates to men, to our
Hmm.
husbands, not to all men, to husbands. So we're helpmates, we're nurturers. We like to take care of. That's part of our whole makeup. I would have to say that I was told to love myself, but I was not taught how to love myself. And I think
Mhm.
that's a
That's
big
huge.
piece
That's
that
huge.
a lot of people do not do. We do not teach our children the importance of loving themselves and what that really
Mhm.
means. That's why it's so hard for us to say no, or for us to put boundaries in place, because we tell, love yourself, love yourself. Well, what does that mean? Because
Right.
a lot
What
of
does
times,
that look like? Yeah.
and what does
Mhm.
it look like? Not even
Mhm.
just what does it mean, but what does it look like?
Right.
And when you don't give um full instructions, or when you just say
Mhm.
something and you don't add the pieces that's needed, then people have to figure that out on their own, and sometimes pieces get missing because
Right.
we don't give um full instructions on, when we say love yourself, love yourself. What does that
Exactly.
mean? What does
And
that look like? So I want to talk about what does it mean. And this is the meaning that I have come up with self-love, and it's
uh-huh.
in the book.
Yep. I was just getting ready to say, I bet you can find it in the book somewhere.
It's in this nice
Yeah.
little 90-day book.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a little TLC, 90 days of self-love, cultivating self-love and self-care. And this is what I have grown to find self-love to be to me: a commitment to your evolution, to walk in your power. your power
Mhm.
to be loved by yourself and others, to love all aspects of yourself, the honoring of yourself, happiness, well being, and ability to make yourself a priority, to
That's it.
live fully in your potential, continuously learning and growing into the best version of yourself, giving the best of yourself to yourself so you can give the best of yourself to others. Now, that's a whole mouthful that I just said, I know. So, if you
Mhm.
really want to see this meaning, you can get a copy of this book. But the parts that are highlighted on there, I keep coming back to yourself, and
Yep.
how self-love is about your
Mhm.
happiness, your well-being, your
Exactly.
success.
Mhm.
Things that we don't think about. It's not just I just love me and I'm just, I don't love nobody else. It's just all about me. It's not about that. It's really about your becoming and how you become and how you start showing up in the world and how you teach people how to treat you.
That's it. That is key. And that is so important because I was getting ready to segue into that to say that self love, although it's about self, it also is inclusive about, like you said, setting the boundaries and then letting those that are important to you, that are around you, aware, make them aware of what your self love involves. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way they will hold you also accountable to make sure that you're doing what it takes to show your self love as well.
Mm-hmm. Gail said, I think you have to know yourself before you can love yourself because that looks different for everyone. Yes, it does. It looks very
Mhm.
different for
Mhm.
everyone. And you do have to know yourself. And while it looks different for everybody else, there are still some key things that I think every person who is having a love affair with themselves and love them should have. And that the power to say no is
Mhm.
one, setting boundaries is one, and the power to say yes to yourself for those things that are good for you. I think those are three things, especially that you need to have, or to be able to walk in and articulate and require when you're talking
Right.
about self love. I really do
Exactly.
believe those are some of the things. And when you love yourself, recognizing, because another thing in self love, when you love yourself, you can recognize when you need help. Kimberly said yes to
Oh, yeah.
Kimberly. That's right, Kimberly.
Mhm.
Yes to Kimberly. When you love yourself, you can. So this goes back to something Gail said. When you love yourself, because you know you well, when certain things happen, you can recognize what you need for you. And y'all, I know some of y'all might be saying, so what does this all have to do with heart healthy? When you love yourself and take care of yourself, then you take care of your heart.
Yes. Yes.
Because whether we
Mhm.
want to believe it or not, we put a lot of stress on our heart.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
just stressing about going to work and what we're going to do, being in the
Right.
traffic. We put a lot of stress on us. So when you can learn what it means to when you take care of yourself by loving you, then you can take care of your heart.
Right, because a lot of people unfortunately think when you say heart health or thinking of or taking care of your heart, the first thing that we think of is what we hear all the time, making sure you're eating healthy foods, exercising,
Mhm.
getting sleep. We go down the litany of lists of what we're talking about as far as your physical heart. But tonight, what we're saying is that from an emotional and a not necessarily, I'm sorry, an emotional and a mental standpoint is that you can also care for your heart, which means self-love. Because the moment I talk with anybody, right, whether it's a client, if it's a friend, family, and I say, are you taking care of your heart? How's your heart health? We immediately think about, am I eating right? Am I exercising? Am I getting enough sleep? Those type of things. But no, it's deeper than that. We have to make sure that we're taking care of ourself
Mhm.
as it relates to self-care
Mhm.
outside of the physical heart.
We also, I think a lot of people don't recognize they're also a part of heart health. People who never tap into their purpose and know
Right.
why they're
That's
here
it
and
too.
doing that is a slow killer, whether you want to believe it or not. The Bible says, without a vision, people shall perish. So basically, it's just saying that if you don't have a purpose for your
Mhm.
life, you are living a non-existent life. You exist in life, but you have a non-existent life.
Yeah.
You're just existing and not really living. And when you don't tap into your purpose and understand why you here, that does something to your heart as well.
Hmm.
It's another slow killer, whether
Yeah.
people want to believe it or not.
It's almost like you're dying slowly, kind of like those type of things, but we're not talking about dying slowly physically. It's
Yes.
more of that emotional or non-purpose. Again, when
Mhm.
I said earlier about you loving yourself is a superpower, that's essentially what I mean, right? So
Mhm.
loving yourself is being able to make the appropriate decisions for yourself. Being
Mhm.
able to love yourself means, like you said before, that you'll set boundaries. Being able to love yourself means that you're going to walk in your purpose. Loving yourself means that, you will don't do the things that don't serve you, right? That's
Right.
not going to bring nourishment to your life. That's not going to bring joy to your life. That's not going to bring happiness to your life. That's not going to bring meaning, purpose to your life. So you'll say yes to those things and no to the things that feel like they're a chore, that they take from you, that they're energy drainers, those type of things. You will quickly say no to those versus saying yes to the things that bring you joy, right?
Right.
So that's when we know that we've reached to that point of self-love, because I can quickly tell you that at this point, at this juncture where I am on this journey, I waste no time and give zero care about whether or not, if I'm being asked to participate in something that's not going to serve me, right? Where I am in this season. Before, I would care about what someone thought. I would care that it's like, oh, they don't think that I want to participate in, what they're doing, or, will I be looked at or judged because I'm not being helpful, or I would normally help them, or I have the resources to help them, I have the tools to help them. And I just said no. That would really, before I was on this journey, that would eat me up. I would really think about that. And what was that doing to my heart? It was, kind of stressing me out and keeping my stress level
No.
here, because
Hmm.
I was worried about saying no to something that likely at that time I really didn't have the time to devote or to commit to it. But it emotionally wore on me that I had to say no, right, to that particular thing. Now I don't think of it in terms of that. Now I think of it in terms of saying no to that thing just gave me life. Saying no to that thing just allowed me to continue to walk in my purpose. See, that's how you have to think of it.
Yeah. And for self-love, and for anybody, because I said earlier that with self-love, we're taught to love ourselves, but nobody gives us the prescription, so to
Hmm.
speak, to love yourself. And one of the things you have to do is get to know you.
Yeah,
You probably heard me say have a love affair with yourself. You
right.
have to really get to know Tawan, Delana, Gail,
Hmm.
Chris, Kimberly, and hello from Baltimore. You really need to know who you are, because once you know who you are, you know what your bandwidth is, what you can tolerate, where you need to set boundaries in
Hmm.
your life, the things you should be saying yes to for yourself and no to others. So it helps you start facilitating that process of doing things that will help you make good, conscious, and intentional decisions.
Right.
Because self love is about being intentional about who you are and
Absolutely.
what your needs are, and making sure that your needs are met. Because the thing is this: when you don't take care of yourself, when you don't love you like you need to love you, it
Hmm.
is very hard. And you probably have heard this: you can't love other people when you don't love you. You
Yeah,
can't give what you don't have. It's like trying to give from an empty cup. And we
absolutely.
people try to do it all the time, and
Hmm.
especially us as women. Sometimes we try to love people and we don't even like who we are, but we trying to out here love
Uh-huh.
people. So
Yeah.
self-love is so important, because you expending energy sometimes that you don't even have to expend. But if you take some time to get to know you, and that's scary for a lot of
Hmm.
people, because
Hmm.
there's a lot
It
of
is.
people who has trauma, drama, a lot of things that happen. And getting to know you means that you put yourself under a microscope. You look at you and you pay
Mhm.
close attention, and you start looking at those areas that you need to start working on so you can heal, become better, work on your weaknesses, work on your strengths. It
Right.
requires you to do a whole lot of introspection and
Mhm.
work with yourself. And a lot of people don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
And when you don't want to do the work, then it makes it hard to love yourself, because guess what? Somebody's gonna come in there and give you some work to do, and the work is not gonna be about your necessarily your best care and well-being. And
Absolutely.
Elaine said, absolutely, still learning how to set boundaries. Yeah, I mean, and you know what, Elaine? We will constantly be learning, because as we evolve as people, different things will come, and then we like, oh, I thought I
Mhm.
had this down. Oh, I got to learn how to set a
Right.
boundary over here because I never had this experience, and now it's looking like it's going awry. But now we're back, and Laverne McDickinson Coleman said, "Ouch."
He said, ouch. Yeah, exactly. It's so
Tell us
true.
what caused you saying "ouch" too. Go ahead, Delana. What was you gonna say?
No, I was just saying Laverne said, ouch. Yeah, I
Mhm.
was just looking at her her message. And it's so true because I always say that your self-love starts with the neck up checkup. You have to be vulnerable, right?
Mhm.
You have to be able to be willing to go deep and maybe even sit with some of those feelings that you haven't touched in a while or
Mhm.
you haven't given the time and attention to, right? So sometimes we fill our cups up or we overcommit or overextend ourselves so that we don't have to deal with hurtful issues or scratch beneath surfaces that we don't care to dig deep in. And so sometimes self care, self love begins with you doing that, right?
Yeah.
Being vulnerable and being willing to kind of peel back the layers and scratch deeper than the superficial with what's going on with us day to day. But if we fill our days with busy things and we don't have time to stop and think about those. So sometimes some people may not get to the surface of or get to the point of self love
Mhm.
because of that. Not that they don't want to, it's because sometimes it can reveal some things that they may not have, um, you know, open themselves up to for a period of time, whatever that may be.
Oh, we getting some good comments over here. First, Trigina said, yes, we have to recognize our boundaries, move, shift with
Hmm.
each evolution.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Laverne said, love myself. I'm up here trying to help others first. Ouch. And you know what? We talked
Yes.
about that before you came on, Laverne.
Hmm.
We put everybody needs in front of our own. And we don't want to feel like we're being selfish, and we don't want to take care of people, and we don't want to help them. But you've got to first make sure you're helping yourself first, and
Absolutely.
then you help them. And Elaine said, I grew up in South Alabama where certain boundaries you didn't even know that were boundaries because of how you grew up. Well, and you know what? It's a whole lot of things that you bring with you out of your childhood that you think that is correct. I mean,
Hmm.
we're even taught certain things that we should be doing. We're taught as women to always help your sister out, help this person out, do. But
Yeah.
nobody ever tells you to take time for
Mm.
you and take care of you, because
Yeah.
all this do
Yeah.
eventually
Absolutely.
it wears you out, emotionally, it wears you out physically, and it wears you out mentally. And sometimes when you do so much for other people and you're always going and going and nobody is pouring back from you, whether people want to admit it or not, it starts to make you bitter, because you
Hmm.
start to hold resentment. And where
Hmm.
does that resentment go? In your heart. You're
In
holding
your
it
heart.
in
Yeah.
your heart. So you're carrying that baggage in your heart, and you have no way to release it. And because you have no way to release it, that starts to cause you stress, palpitations. You start to have these physiological responses
Right. I was just getting
to.
ready to say you start to see the physical manifestation of the emotional and the mental things that we're talking
Mhm.
about. So that was just going to be my next comment is that you begin to see the physiological effects of the emotional and mental and psychological things that we do as a result of not loving ourselves, which again manifests into having, heart disease because we're not
Yes.
taking care of ourselves, unfortunately. So, as women, those symptoms can show up sometimes to be mild, or we're not thinking that it's relative to our heart when it truly is. And we'll ignore them or we'll kind of say, oh, it's because I'm having indigestion or I ate something that was bad or
Mhm.
I know that I have a headache 3 or 4 times out of the week because I'm so stressed out between work, school, church, responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera. We'll have this litany list of things when really what's happening is you're creating this powder keg of symptoms that will ultimately lead to heart disease.
Say that again. We're creating a powder. Say it
Powder
again.
keg. Yep.
A powder keg. Okay.
Yep.
Never heard of it kind of put that way, but wow, you're right. You
Yep.
know, and
That's
I
exactly.
think we don't realize that. And so let me say, okay, Facebook users say my number one boundary: you will never disrespect me, nor will I you. That's a very good
Yeah.
boundary. Emotional manifests physically all the time. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Laverne said, this is so good. Thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
expertise, good information for me to work on. And what I recently discovered is easy to see how various physical symptoms show up in other people, but hard to see it in ourselves. Now,
Yep.
Elaine, I think I just want, girl, you make me want to get up here and run around this room.
Tell
Yes,
Elaine, that's a hashtag right there. It is so true.
yeah.
Honestly,
Mhm.
we can always see, again, as women, we'll say certain things that we can see in others, because again, we're so nurturing and we're caring, but we will, those same exact problems or issues or symptoms or things that manifest in ourselves. I told you what we just do. We say, oh, girl, it's because I'm working real hard on this project. Girl, I'm stressed out. Girl, I just ate that bad Chinese food. That's why I got indigestion. I got nausea. I'm sweating. I got this pain here or there, the stomach ache that's gone on for 3 or 4 days, things of that nature. We will kind of what I call justify
Mhm.
the symptomatic things that our body is speaking to us and telling us. We will find something to blame it on and pinpoint it on and explain it away rather than truly sit and explore what our body is trying to say to us and to tell us.
You definitely need to listen to your body. But I
Mhm.
think we also, especially in the African American community, I will say, being strong women. So we think it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen to us because we just have that strength to really
Mhm.
push and do and continue to keep moving and moving and acting like we the Energizer Bunny.
Yep.
I think it's just funny. I think I have something in the book about being the Energizer Bunny. You just keep
Gail,
going and
Gail
going and
Prowler.
going and going. But
Mhm.
we don't have we don't
Last
have
week,
batteries.
yeah, Gail's chapter in here, her contribution, her affirmation talks about the Energizer Bunny, because I read that last week
Yeah,
when we were
right.
talking about mental wellness and self-love. How Gail was like, no, we have to give ourselves time to rest. You're not like the Energizer Bunny. You can't just keep going and going and going. Your body will stop you.
It will. Then
Mhm.
if you don't pay attention, it will
Yeah.
get you and it will shut you. It will
Yeah.
truly shut you down. But one of the things I do want to say is we talked about how you need to get to know yourself and you need to go. Sometimes you have to unpack some things that
Mhm.
has happened in your life, some things that you may not have gotten resolved. And the thing is, we don't always have the capacity to unpack them ourselves. And that's when we need to reach out. Self-love is knowing when you need a third party, somebody to step in and somebody to help you. Getting help. Now, I'm going to say in the African American community, we
Mhm.
act like getting help, professional help, is a problem.
Mhm. Well,
It
we
is a
still think it's
solution.
a sign of weakness, right? We think it's a sign of weakness
Yes.
in
Mhm.
some um, aspects. And then it
Yes.
also means that we're unable to cope, right? It's a sign of weakness that we're unable to cope and that we're not capable. So it's really like a trifecta,
Mhm.
oftentimes, if we seek help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elaine said, we make ourselves immune from experiencing human emotions to appear strong. Speaking about myself, you have, I think you said it so eloquently. We do. We try to remove from the emotional pieces. Again, trying to be strong because we're taught be strong, keep pushing. So
Mhm.
we don't acknowledge when we're hurt. We don't acknowledge when we're physically hurting. We don't acknowledge when we're emotionally hurting. And we don't acknowledge when we're mentally hurting. And when we don't acknowledge those things, we are slowly breaking in different areas. And one of those areas is in our heart. But we're going to come back and talk about that a little more. I'm going to go to a commercial right now from one of our sponsors, Tea Lovers Cafe. So we're going to go to a commercial and we'll be right back. Sorry about that. And look, that was our sponsor, Tea Lovers Cafe. And just want you to know, tea is a good way to be
Tea
heart
is a good,
healthy.
yes, it
Tea
is.
is good for you. Tea helps you to relax. It
Mhm.
is soothing. Some teas have antioxidants that are good for you. Green tea is good for you. So it's a good way for you to take care of yourself, to
Yes.
relax, because again, some of us don't even know how to relax.
To dial it down and chill.
Yeah.
Chamomile tea will do that. Get you
Yes.
some mixed chamomile tea.
Well, somebody said, Facebook, you said, I pay big attention. My mom died at 52 from heart problems. Sorry to hear that. Sorry for your loss. The truth is, she was severely depressed, determined it would not
Yes,
be my story. Deidre would live in for a purpose. Yes, Deidre. And
right, Deirdre.
so when we talk about the emotional piece of it,
Hmm.
depression is big.
It's big, yes. And
And
again,
depression is big amongst women. Delana, talk
mhm,
to us about depression a little bit and just share about that and how it affects our heart.
absolutely. I was just getting ready to say last week, again, as I was saying, I did the show talking about mental wellness, and I wanted to just pull up my notes about that. And depression was one of the things that was on there. It is a significant risk factor for heart disease, and it's common among people that are also going through heart disease as they recover. But when you think about depression, it's one of the things that people nowadays, when we look at it, we are high functioning depression people that go out there and work day to day, take care of their homes, are high functioning, high producing, but still deal with the level of depression. And when we do that, there's a lot of things that happen chemically within our systems and within our physical bodies that lead us to have heart disease more often. And so that's one of the things that I like to talk to women about is to say, that you do not need to feel embarrassed if you feel depressed. You do not need to feel slightly different if you have depression. It's something that, just like with any other illness, just needs to be addressed because if we continue to ignore or acknowledge that we have depression, it again, just like we talked about earlier, it will physically manifest itself. And so, acknowledging that you have depression is there are ways in which you can cope with it, whether it's through therapy, whether it's through medication. Sometimes it's just being able to acknowledge and talk about your feelings that will help you through depression. But it is
Yeah,
definitely a link between depression and heart disease.
and ignoring it will never help.
No. Mm-mm.
Ignoring that there's something going on with you, you don't feel right. And the thing is, we all have some level of depression. There is something that will shake us all to the core. Some
Hmm.
people have the ability to shake it off real easy, and it depends on what the circumstances is. However, all of us go through some level of depression, but when we don't acknowledge it and accept that that is just what is going on with us at the time, and we
Right.
continue to let it go on, it progresses into a
Mhm.
deeper level of depression,
Absolutely.
which
The
makes it harder.
suppression, yes, the suppression of depression is
Mhm.
worse than the depression itself. So I'll
Yes.
say that again. The suppression of depression is worse than depression itself. So suppressing that you're depressed is not healthy, it is very unhealthy. It can be deadly in some ways. So definitely understanding that depression is just like, as I said before, any other illness, that you would go and speak to your practitioner about or seek, medical attention for. That is what I am encouraging every woman who is listening to us or who knows someone, or if you're listening to the replay, watching the replay. Depression is just like any other illness that you would go and seek, medical attention for, just like hypertension, or having a urinary tract infection or a back pain or ongoing migraines or anything like that that you feel that you would go and seek medical attention for. The same with depression. So suppressing it or ignoring it is worse than the depression itself.
Self love is about being empowered. And
Yes.
where I'm going with this, when you are empowered, see, we've been taught certain things to do when things happen. When you're depressed, you're still supposed to be strong. You're still supposed to keep pushing.
Absolutely.
It's not a level of weakness. It's a level, it's just something that happens. It's a chemical imbalance that happens in our brain when we keep suppressing and don't address it. That's why the chemical imbalance takes place,
Mm-hmm.
because we are ignoring the things that we need to do to get that serotonin and everything we need to get back on track so we can be as healthy as we can. That's why I said that you have to get to know yourself, because when you get to know you, you will know when something's off. You will
Right.
know. It won't be, oh, I just had a bad day and they got on my nerves at work and I'm like this. No,
Mm-hmm.
you will start
A
to
little
be
more than that.
sluggish, because let me say this, depression is not always I'm just feeling so down. There are so many symptoms to depression that you really have to pay attention to your body. And I'm just going to share a story with you all. I've been married twice. Anybody follow me know me. I've been married twice. My first divorce wasn't hard, but it was some issue. There were some things that were going on with it, and we were having a lot of problems right around Christmas. And I think when he asked me for the divorce was kind of in January. So I went to the doctor because I was like, I'm not sleeping well.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm just not sleeping well. And I was like, seemed like I've lost a little bit of weight, but okay. I was like, I know I'm stressed at work. I was explaining to her about what was going on in my relationship. And I just said, I don't know what's going on. And she said, you're depressed. And I was like, no, I mean, I've suffered from insomnia before. Now I'm here at the doctor telling her my issues. And
Right.
then I'm telling her,
Tell them.
no, I'm not depressed. And she said, no, that sounds like depression. And what she said to me, she said, how long? She asked me, how long have we been kind of at odds? And I told her, and she said, whether you want, and then and my memory, let me just say this, my memory was just, I felt like I was a scatterbrain and kind of was all over the place. If I had a doctor's appointment, I couldn't remember to maybe the day before or the day of, and things like that. So I was sitting there and I was talking to her. So she told me, A1, take the cape off.
Mm.
You don't have to be superwoman in this. She said, because if you're getting a divorce, this is like a loss and you're going to go through some grief. She said, now you just went through Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you're getting ready to go to another holiday, Valentine's Day. She said, and that all pulls on you emotionally, because where you should be in a good, healthy state in your marriage, you're in an uncertain state and you're at the point where you're talking about, divorce. And I was just thinking about what she was saying, and I was like, oh, she's right. And and
Yeah.
she was like,
Mm-hmm.
what is your appetite like? And she started asking me some other questions, and I could answer all the questions she was asking me. I really
Mm-hmm.
could tell her the answers. No, my appetite has not been the same. I said, like I said, I have lost weight, probably because my appetite is this. I haven't been sleeping and all this. And she said, you're probably mildly depressed. And I was like, no, I think I got a good handle. She said, no, no, no. You're probably mildly depressed, because she asked me about my job and what do I do. And at the time, I was dealing with drug testing and air traffic controllers. So, it was just a whole lot in what I did in my job. And she was like, you have a whole lot. You're trying to keep all the balls in the air. And she said, and because you can't control the main ball that you want to control, your marriage, you're all over the place. And she said, you're mildly depressed and I'm going to give you some medicine. And I was like, I don't want no medicine. You ain't giving me no medicine, lady. She wrote the prescription. I walked out the doctor's office and I said, the devil is a lie. I'm not taking this medicine, blah, 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 blah. Y'all, I drove. I think I kept the prescription in my pocketbook for about a week. I finally took the prescription to the doctor because my symptoms were not getting better. And she actually called me and asked me, how was I doing? And I said, fine. And she asked me, had I started taking the medicine? And I said, no, I didn't. And she said, look, I said you are mildly depressed. I'm not saying you're suffering from severe depression or anything like that. She said, but I need to get the imbalance in your brain back. And it's just going to take a little bit of medicine. You're only going to be on it maybe for 90 to 120 days. I just want to see where you're going. And I said, okay, let me go put the prescription in. And the prescription actually helped. But I had to talk myself out of what I've been told about taking medicine, and medicine is not good
Mm-hmm.
for you. And you can pray this away and you can do this away. I needed help. I
Yeah.
just needed to get and I'm here to tell you that I had a calmness now on top of praying, because my faith became very important to me. On top of praying and taking the medicine, I felt the even keel and I was starting to feel better. And when I went back to her on my 90th, around the 90th some day, she was like, "We're now going to wean you off." She said, "Because you're coming in here, you're even sounding better." And my sleep was getting better. It wasn't much better, but I was already suffering from insomnia. So some of it was from the depression, but because I just suffer from insomnia. So, when it comes to depression, you really have to take care of yourself. And we always think, "Oh, I'm down and I'm not feeling, I'm sloping," those type of things. It has so many different symptoms. And when I was going to the doctor, I was going for every other symptom. Didn't even occur to me that depression could have been my issue. And why it didn't occur to me, because I had not gotten divorced yet. We was just so rocky at the time, and it was just stressful.
Mhm.
The stress of it all was driving me absolutely. It wasn't driving me crazy for real, but it was taking its toll on me. So I shared that to say that there are so many other symptoms. So don't think you always know what it is to be depressed, because I think Gail said everybody does something different. It's different for everybody. It shows up
Mhm.
differently for everybody. And be part of your self-love is when you know you're going through a lot and there's a whole lot going on with you. As Nurse Delana said, make your way to the doctor. Have a sit down chat and let a professional help you, because it might not be depression. It could be anything else. She really could have gave me a sleeping pill and say go to sleep. I like the fact that she was a little thorough. So but I want to read some more. So Chris Williams said the serenity prayer is what I live by. Yes, so do I. God grant me the serenity. Yes, the serenity prayer really does help. But for those who have issues beyond, go get help. Because sometimes the serenity prayer is where you need to start, and that might help. But for some people, they never even say a prayer. It's a challenge to talk about things even to a therapist. I grew up in a do not say anything culture, the fear of being judged, and etc. I'm gonna tell you one saying that I can't stand. We'll go on in this house, stay in this house. That's a lie from the pit of hell. We have so many secrets that go on and so many things that's killing us because we don't share. We're taught not to talk about it, not to share. When you don't, a closed mouth never gets fed. My grandmama always told me that a closed mouth don't get fed. So if you can't open your mouth and express, self-love is being able to be honest and say, this is what's going on with me, and not even worry about if you judge me. Judge me all you want, but if I'm gonna get the help that I need, then you can talk about me behind my back like a dog. I really don't care, as long as I get that help. But
Mhm.
in self-love, guess what you would know? You would know who to talk to and who not to talk to. So no, because you're gonna have some level of discernment. Self-awareness has been my saving grace. Thank you. Okay. I was in therapy for 2 years. I used the tools my therapist gave me, and now I can catch it at the gate. See, that's good. That is really good. Oh, Kim Johnson. Hey, Kim, I love this one right here. And I stopped doing this a long time ago. We need to stop saying I'm fine when I'm not fine. It's
Mhm.
okay not to be okay. It really
Absolutely.
is okay not to be okay. And this goes back to what I said at the very beginning of this conversation. We're told that we should love ourselves, but we're not taught how to do it and what it looks like. And one of the things that we should be taught is not to say I'm fine when I'm not. And it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to be on 100% of the time. Matter of fact, if you're on 100% of the time, I believe you're walking around here carrying so much that you might just, I hate to say it, maybe you might just drop dead because you're holding on to so much. We all have things that we have to deal with. Another, I took medication and it helped, but I'm still determined not to be my mother. Deidre did the work to be mentally in control, no medication today at all. Very good. And you do have to do the work. You have to do the work. I have a book called Stop Hiding Behind Yourself. And in the book, I talk about how all of us have these all we have these grave sites in our hearts and in our minds that are not totally closed, and we need to go back to the grave sites and we need to close the coffins completely shut, because when you don't, you leave room for that stuff to seep out and to come into and to continue to fester within you. And Trigina said, major point the church missed. Some things require the Holy Ghost, a couch, and sometimes a prescription. God will not allow you to fail when we're doing what's best for us. I always tell people, Trigina, you need Jesus, and a psychiatrist. And sometimes the order in which you need them, it might not be Jesus first, it might be the psychiatrist, then Jesus. And people always say, no, you always need Jesus first. Sometimes people can't believe in, they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in nothing. You can't get them to believe in Jesus. So let me send you to the psychiatrist, and let's start getting you to a place, and let's get you to the point of where you start building your spiritual life, and you can believe in Jesus and what he says about your life, so you can feel like you can have a better life. What you have to say, Nurse Watkins?
Pretty much everything that you just said. I think, there was a good summary of what we've been talking about. And you gave a personalized example of being able to understand that you were struggling and you went to see your physician. And like you said, you're like, I don't want this medication. I'm not taking this medication. But you also recognized that the symptoms were not going away and weren't clearing with time. And so I think we have to be open to understanding that sometimes there need to be some medicinal intervention, some therapeutic intervention in order for us to get the desired results and outcomes that we're looking for.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. And if you're on here and if you're listening, or if you're listening to the recording and you don't love yourself, I need you to ask yourself, why don't you? Why don't you love you? Because that's a very important question if you don't love who you are. Bible and a good therapist never fail. Deidre, your life today is a living proof. I like that. Bible and a good therapist never fails. You're absolutely correct. But you really do. If you do not like or love you, you really need to sit down and find out, why don't you like and love you? And I would highly recommend, if the question is asked you, do you like or love you? And you can't say yes to either one of those, that you go get some professional help to get to the root of why don't you like or love yourself. Because liking you is what causes you to love you. Loving you is what causes you to like you. Yes, I said it, both of those things, because it takes both. And when you love yourself, believe it or not, your love for yourself dictates how you will take care of yourself. That's what dictates the type of self-care you will have for yourself, because the level of love you have for yourself will be demonstrated in the things, in the decisions you make, and the actions that you take towards yourself. Be that towards your goals, be that towards your spiritual life, be that towards your physical life. The love that you have for yourself dictates just that. In the book of Everybody Needs a Little TLC, 90 Days of Cultivating Self-Love and Self-Care, on day 8, it says self-love isn't selfish. And I think we've been taught to believe that when you love yourself, you're being selfish. No, you're not. You're taking care of who you are. Laverne said, funny, my mom passed a few months ago. Sorry to hear that, Laverne. I would tell people we're okay. Okay. My teenage daughter told me, Mom, stop telling people I'm okay. I'm not okay. I learned from her. Yeah, I mean, but that's just learned behavior. We've been taught to say we're fine when we're not fine. Now this new generation, this millennium, they're not saying, they're gonna just tell you the truth. They not holding in. I feel crappy. If you ask Tawan, I'm pissed off today. I'm this. I'm not telling you I'm fine when I'm not fine. Because when we do that, our needs never get met. No one will know that I need some assistance. Like if Delana, I called Delana and she said this was a bad day. What made this a bad day, Delana? Whatever I called her for needs to stop.
Right.
What made this a bad day? Now, had she just said I'm fine, guess what I'm gonna go? I'm going right into, hey, I'm calling you. We need to, we're gonna be collaborating on something. Boom, 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 boom. But when you tell the truth, because when you tell the truth, you're honoring yourself.
Yeah.
And that's very important, to honor yourself. Yeah. And when you honor yourself, you get your needs met. Now, can I fix the Delana problem? Probably not, depending on what it is. It could be she just wants to talk. You know what I'm saying? She just want to somebody to hear her, not necessarily fix anything. I just want to vent because these crazy clients at the hospital have acted like a fool today, and I was just at my wits end. And she just wants to say it to somebody because she couldn't say it to her clients. She couldn't say it to the people at work. So Tawan could be the listening ear to hear that
Mhm.
at the time. But we're going to stop. Everybody on here, I want you to type. I will not say I'm fine when I'm not fine. And I want y'all to type because y'all know I can see your comments. I am not fine. I'm not going to say I'm fine when I'm not fine. That is so important that you walk away with that lesson because you truly want to get your
Mhm.
needs met. She said, okay, thank you. Tell the truth, honor self, and needs are met. Thank you. You are welcome.
Good.
That is what Tea Talks are all about. But yes, self love goes into self care. How do we take care of ourselves? I will not say I'm not fine when I am not fine. Correct. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. I want to take a little few minutes to talk about the power of forgiveness. In self love, forgiveness is critical. It's a critical part of your self love, but it's also a critical part of healing your heart. And that's kind of how I want to end the show talking about when your heart is broken, you need to heal it. And I'm talking about in that emotional and mental state. Oh, my baby on here, clap, clap, clap. Thank you, baby. Um, you do need to practice the power of forgiveness because forgiveness helps us to relinquish guilt sometimes, resentment, and the things that we're harboring that is negative in our heart. Nurse Delana told us that we carry our emotions in our heart a lot, and when we don't forgive, when we don't, no, we cannot do that, Miss Chris Williams. She said, limit your sugar intake. It affects your heart and brain. I'm sorry, but I have now laters right here. I cannot limit my sugar, but she's absolutely correct. You do need to limit
I
your
was
sugar.
getting ready to say yes, Chris. That is absolutely correct.
Chris is my godmother. And it's nice to see her on here because she hasn't been on social media that long, but it's nice to see her on here. And she's right, sugar plays a big piece. It makes you sluggish, it makes you a whole lot of things, and it does do something with your heart. But forgiveness, learn to forgive. You know, we always hear the saying that forgiveness is not for the other person, but it's for yourself. And it is for yourself because it's a big part of it is how you take care of your heart. That's a part of your heart health, being able to let go so that you can be happy, so that you can find peace, and so that you don't harbor all those negative feelings and emotions in your heart. Because the longer you carry all those things, all you do is put stress on yourself because all you're doing is you're thinking about when you're holding somebody in unforgiveness, you're thinking about how you're going to get them back, or you keep thinking about and playing that story over and over in your
Mhm.
head about what they did to you, and you don't allow yourself to heal. Let your heart heal. When you practice forgiveness, not only do you heal your heart, you heal your mind and your spirit, and it's definitely important to being heart healthy. Um, I'll talk about it, right? My right now testing story. Okay. Okay. So I have enjoyed this conversation. This has been a good conversation tonight, talking about heart healthy, being heart healthy, self love, and self care. Here at Tea Talks, we talk about all things that can help you with your becoming your best self, and creating your best life. If you want to have your best life, you definitely need to be heart healthy. I thank you for joining me. Thank you, Kimberly. If you are just tuning in, you didn't watch it live and you're watching the remix, leave us a comment. I respond back to all comments. Please, if you're on YouTube and you see saw this, please subscribe. If you all are share this with your friends. If you truly have enjoyed this, we come on every Monday. Sometimes it's just me empowering, and a lot of times I bring on guests to help me to empower you all because my goal is to help you live your best life create your best life. I will be back first time on here. Thank you, Laverne. I would like to see you back. Thank you, Elaine. She said this was awesome. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
We
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
you. Now, Delana, before we go, you all, Delana, tell us how we can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me on all social media at Delana Watkins. You can come on into the Women's Wellness Lounge on Facebook. We do a women's wellness talk on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. You never know what we're going to say in there. So make sure you follow me in the Women's Wellness Lounge. And again, I'm on all social media at Delana Watkins. My
Please,
website is delanawatkins.com.
yeah, please follow Delana. I'm a part of the Women Wellness Lounge. Delana
Yes.
has helped me several times, and hear me when I say several times because I struggle with sugar. But she has good challenges that go on.
Mhm.
Definitely is about wellness. If you are truly, truly working on yourself, becoming the best self, you definitely need to get. Everybody needs a little TLC. 90 days of cultivating self care and self love. Um, it is a book of affirmation. It has over, let me see, it has over 20 authors in the book. You can get the book. We have it. You can go and you can get the book. It's series 2. It's 3 series of the
Mhm.
book. The first series is about self-awareness, self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-worth. Because we talked about getting to know yourself, and one of the ways you get to know yourself is through the being self-aware. So please go to www, as you can see the ticker run across, TLC book series, and get both of the books. We have another one coming out in March. Delana is one of the contributing authors in both
Yes.
series 1 and 2. I think you saw saw Trigina Hunter. She gave some comments. She is in book series 1. And Gail Crowder was on here for a minute. And Pamisha Boyd, they both are in series 1, and Gail Crowder's in series 2. But it's a book that you can forever use. It's about affirmation, speaking over your life, speaking into your life, and giving you good tips and insight when it comes to cultivating your self-love and self-care. Know that you have to love yourself first before you can love anybody else. Thank you for being on Tea Talks. We enjoy you. We see you back next week at 8 o'clock. And I'm going to just roll us on out. And if you have any questions, please send them and I will respond. Let's see, do we have anybody? This was wonderful. Thank you, Shagina. Makes great gifts also. March is Women's Month. Yes, okay. A gift to myself I will purchase. All right. Thank you, Elaine. And we will see you all back next week. Don't forget to make sure you subscribe to my YouTube so you can know when we're coming on. We got some exciting things. We're going to be talking about procrastination, excuses, and a whole lot of other things starting next month. Please join us because next month is Women's Month. So we're going to have some powerful conversations about how we show up and show up strong as women in our community, in our family, our community, and in the workplace. Peace and blessings. Remember, everybody needs a little TLC, that transformational lifestyle content that helps you with becoming your best self and creating your best life. Bye-bye.